Hi. I'm Lady Shasha, mistress of the snark, connoisseur of the gore, and your hostess with the mostest. Okay, so this is from the New York Post, written by Connor Sormonti. Headline reads, Even Stephen King is spooked by the It Welcome to Derry Pennywise prequel. And it's playing like unrelated video there, so I'm going to scroll up. X out of there. Okay, here we go. Stephen King is weighing in on the terrifying return of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The horror legend recently shared his thoughts on HBO's It Welcome to Derry, the new prequel series expanding the universe of his iconic 1986 It novel, and even he is spooked. I would actually correct that and say it not only expands the It universe, it also dips into The Shining, because we do have the character of Dick Halloran, who is we know from The Shining, but also this is giving kind of a prequel of his story, how he was also in Derry. I'm not sure other stories that Stephen King stories that they might connect, which would be very easy to do, being that the majority of his work takes place in Maine. So all his stories can technically be interconnected. So it'd be fun to see where the show goes. But as it stands right now, it's really painting a great picture of Derry and specifically Mike Enlin's family, and Dick Halloran as well. It's very interesting. That's just my little side thoughts. Okay, in this picture, Stephen King is posing for a portrait session in Paris, France. That was taken in November 16th. And then there's also a picture of Stephen King at the Toronto International Film Festival from September 6, 2024. That's what that image is from. He says, I like Welcome to Derry a lot, King, 78, exclusively told the Post. There are plenty of horrors and lots of surreal visuals. There's a supermarket scare that sticks in my mind, complete with pickle jars. And if you've seen the show, you've seen that scare. I'm going to scroll up to this because that moving pickle was distracting me. The best-selling author went on to praise Andy Muschietti, the filmmaker who helmed both blockbuster It movies and who has since returned to direct It Welcome to Derry alongside his sister Barbara Muschietti. Andy Muschietti has got a touch of genius when it comes to scares. The king of horror shared, folks are going to see some scenes in their nightmares. I will say this, that Muschietti has been very good at directing scare scenes. That would be the strong parts of his It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 movies were the scare scenes. I think he did a great job with that. What I didn't like, and I've said it time and time again, was the writing. I thought that it's to put it plainly, it's fucked up what they did to Mike Hanlon's character, and I didn't get it at all. This series seems like it's trying to correct for that oversight. And I like that they're correcting for that oversight. And I'm guessing that the writer's room has people that are a little bit more respectful of the original It series characters. That's the way I would like to say it. Yeah. These people are more respectful of the characters than whomever wrote the screenplay for the It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 movies. Although I do know there was a little bit of development issues with those two movies. Tex says, yeah, that show is doing a good job with Stephen King's universe. And Tonyman says, yeah, Tex, we used to hit Chinatown in New York City and cop all the latest J-horror. I think Audition and Ichi the Killer is somewhere too. Yeah, I have them right here. Matter of fact, I have... I have this is the Audition DVD that was purchased in Chinatown, New York. Show you what it looks like. That's the DVD. This is back when these were not in stores. This would have been, gosh, 2003, 2004 maybe, 2005 at the latest. And then who else did you say? You said Ichi the Killer. That one is right behind me here. But this may be... Oh, I pulled the wrong one. This is actually Tommy. That's Tommy. I don't know why I pulled Tommy. Here we go. Here's Ichi the Killer. Now, this might be a VCD and not a DVD because back in the day, yeah, this is a VCD. The difference is a VCD holds less information. So typically, half of the movie will be on disc one, so like 45 minutes, and then the other half of the movie will be on disc two. That's what they used to do with VCDs. But it's my understanding, if I'm not mistaken, that VCDs are non-regional. So it didn't matter what type of DVD player you had, whereas regular DVDs you have to get in either region 1 or region 2 based on where you live in the world. But if I'm not mistaken, VCDs, it didn't matter. They were non-regional. They were formatted for whatever player you had, which is really cool. But yeah, this was purchased in Chinatown, New York also. Got a bunch of VCDs up here. I have Face, The Eye, Ju-on, Ju-on 2, One Missed Call, and Tomy. People forget about the Tomy movies. I need to do Tomy as a series because there's so many. Okay, let me get back into the chat here. Text says, Ichi is a blast. Yes. Kiki says, hey, Shasha, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Kiki. I'm glad that you had a show. Text says, the J horror and K horror of the 90s and early to mid 2000s had a good run of films. I absolutely agree. Doc Kaiju says, I am here. PJ said, catching up on Welcome to Derry. It's doing good so far, besides some issues. Yeah. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's way better than I ever expected. Tony says, why does King look like Dr. Evil in one photo and chilling in a b-boy stance in the next? BC is here. He says, hi, everybody. Hey, BC. Kiki says, love that movie. She was colder than a polar bear's toenail. Are you talking about Ju-on? Or are you talking about The Ring? Or which movie you're talking about, Kiki? Oh, Kiki is talking about Audition. Yes. Yes, yes, she was cold. Doc says, the likely bad writers are Chase Palmer and, yes, Gary Doberman. Gary Doberman. I have had complaints about him before. Tony says, come to KMW. It's colder than polar bear's nutsack. And welcome to the dark side is here. Hey, long time no see. I'm glad to see you. She says, I finally caught your live. I have the day off. Just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving, and you're doing an amazing job with the hard news. Oh, thank you so much. And you're doing an amazing job too. If you guys are not already subscribed to Welcome to the Dark Side, subscribe to her. Her content is top tier. Docs actually hate most of the films Doberman has written. I can't remember what I last complained about with him, but I remember complaining about him, but I can't remember what movie it was. And then Peter says, it's okay, Tex. Sometimes I forget. All right, let's get back into this article because there's a little bit more. And there's a few more images in here that are better. I'll scroll down to these images of Stephen King. He is attending the special screening of It in Bangor, Maine on September 6, 2017. And then there's also a picture of Clara Stack as Lily during the second episode of It, Welcome to Derry. And there's another image of her here. She has very expressive eyes, but all the kids on the show have the most expressive eyes and faces. Those were really, really great. Okay, so now where was I? Clara Stack as Lily during the second episode of It, Welcome to Derry. And as for Pennywise, King teased that lifetime fans of the franchise won't be disappointed. Bill Skarsgård, who portrayed the killer dancing clown in the 2017 and 2019 films, has returned to the role for the new prequel series. When Pennywise finally appears, he's still scary as hell, the writer concluded. And then they do have a picture of Bill Skarsgård outside of his Pennywise getup. He did pretty well in Barbarian. Okay. Continues. The creators of It, Welcome to Derry praised King ahead of the show's premiere last weekend. After explaining how the prequel series was born, Andy revealed that the Shining author was involved in the prequel's production from a very reasonable perspective. So that's good. I did not know that Stephen King was involved on some level with the production of the TV series. I like hearing that. He's not controlling everything we do. Even though he's blessing and screening everything that we show him, the Flash filmmaker, who's 52 years old, told the Post, of course, he's obviously verbal when he doesn't like something, but most of the time, he seems very excited and open to this creation. And then they have another picture of Stephen King. Well, there's Skarsgård as Pennywise as well, and Welcome to Derry. And then there's a picture of Stephen King on the set of Good Morning America from 2016. And then there's a picture from the Welcome to Derry premiere with Andy and Barbara Muschetti. And it says, he is a great human being too, Barbara, 53, added. Brad Caleb Kane, who serves as showrunner of it, Welcome to Derry, alongside Jason Fuchs, went on to credit King with Godfathering, the new prequel series, set decades before the events of It and It Chapter 2. He was basically very generous with his creation and with his universe, Kane, 52, told the Post. He said, here it is. I've written it all down. Play around on it. Now, who is this? This is Jason Fuchs with Brad Caleb Kane at the premiere of It, Welcome to Derry at the Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, California. It's good that Warner Brothers still has a studio, because not every Paramount can't say the same. I think Paramount just has a office and no longer an actual backlot, if I'm not mistaken. They might have made enough money to build another one, but they had lost that for a minute. Let's see here. Welcome to Dark Side says, I was surprised how good Welcome to Derry is. Not that many directors and writers can execute Stephen King adaptations. I do have to... Kiki says, Hemlock Grove wasn't perfect, but it made me laugh. Just like a soap opera. A huge fan of Passions. You know, I saw the first season of Hemlock Grove, but I haven't seen the subsequent seasons. I have to get back into that. That's when I need to finish in Twin Peaks. I need to finish. Kiki says, I couldn't get behind Barbarian. Bored me. But hey, the whole incest story was creepy as fuck. Doc says, I must have missed the incest aspect of Barbarian. Great movie. Yeah, when they told the backstory of the kidnapper taking the baby. I guess when the baby grew up, he slept with the baby, and then when the baby had the baby, he slept with his own child, and so on and so forth, creating that creature that's in the base that ended up being in the basement. Okay, now, anything more to this article? There's a little more pictures of Pennywise, more pictures of the... Okay, it says the cast and creators of It, Welcome to Derry during New York Comic-Con at the Jacob K. Javits Convention Center in New York City on October 11, 2025. Now, where did I leave off reading? We shared it with him as we wrote it, and he guided us. He added, we wanted to do something that he'd feel good about and be proud of, the Argyle writer 39 said. We were thrilled this past week. He put out a thread saying he'd seen it and loved it, and episode 1 was terrifying. That was a great way to go into this whole launch of the show. Fuchs added, it was very, very exciting to see. It, Welcome to Derry, kicked off on HBO and HBO Max on Sunday, October 26th. The premiere episode begins with young, pacifier-sucking Maddie Clemens sneaking into a screening of The Music Man at Derry's Capitol Theater. After being caught, he hitchhikes out of town to escape his troubles. But Maddie's ride with a seemingly kind family quickly spirals into nightmare fuel when the mother goes into labor, giving birth to a grotesque winged creature that attacks everyone in the car. Now, while I did like that sequence, I did think that the CGI for the winged creature was a little hokey. I don't think it looked great. The design of the creature, I could see it being, cool, but I didn't like how the CGI looked. They do have a picture of the character, Maddie, played by Miles Eckhart. And then there's another still from another creepy scene. A still from the first episode of It, Welcome to Derry. Let me see here. Maddie's pacifier falls into a sewer before he is dragged into the darkness. Months later, a group of local kids made up of Teddy, Phil, Lily, Ronnie, and Phil's little sister, Susie, are still haunted by Maddie's disappearance. Obsessed with finding out what really happened to their friend, the group ends up back at the Capitol Theater. And they show an image of them at the theater. And the actors' names are Jack Malloy Legault, Matilda Legault, Clara Stack, Mikhail Karam Fiddler, and it just says it. Welcome to Derry, Warner Brothers Television. Hopefully, I won't get in trouble for this because Warner Brothers, they are notoriously staunch about. I mean, I'm just showing images, so hopefully, I don't get dinged for just showing pictures because Warner Brothers can be like that. I might end up cutting this whole segment out if they give me issues. But let's continue. Naturally, the night takes a bloody turn when the lights begin to flicker. The projector sputters, and the same winged creature from the opening emerges from the screen. Chaos erupts as the kids are attacked, and the theater is filled with screams before the episode comes to a sudden cliffhanging end. While new episodes of It, Welcome to Derry are scheduled to release on HBO and HBO Max on Sunday nights, the show's second episode dropped early on October 31st in celebration for Halloween. And that's that on It.